We have more metalworking today. Mary Hettmansperger is back. Welcome, Mary.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, last time you showed us how to make some really cool hinges, and this time we're going to focus on the window and bezel.
Yes. So, as I told you the last time, we needed to first anneal the metal. So, I'm not going to show that again. Basically, it's just a matter of heating it, getting it nice and soft. And you can start out with a patina, whatever you want. But we're going to focus, the first thing we're going to do is cut just with the disc cutter. So let me show you that. So you have your nice heated piece that's very soft now, and you want to slide that in. Hold on, there we go. And what I always do is I take it off of the, off of the stand. You want to hit it with an acrylic hammer when you find the, there we go, the corresponding dap. And you want to make sure that the disc is in there, and it's not like shoved in, because you don't want to compromise the inside circle.
Okay.
And I always pull way back on this hammer. I use an acrylic hammer because it's going to disperse the blow a little bit better than a metal one. And what I'm going to do is just hammer, and you want to let it completely fall through. So there's two fun things that happen there. You've created your hole, but you've also got a little circle, which is quite nice too. So once you get that, then what's great is you can actually go to the dapping block. And what I do is I pick out a hole that's just a little bit bigger. So I'm going to probably go with this size here.
Okay, so you just want to make it slightly larger.
Slightly larger.
Okay.
You can actually, you can kind of play with this and create even more bubble looks, but this is a great look. So I'm going to kind of center it, take my dapping tool, come in. You can use either with this. You can either use this hammer or the regular one. And I'm choking more up on the hammer now. I'm going to just gently start to persuade it more. And actually, I'm going to use my metal hammer. And you can see how I'm kind of rolling that. And what that does is it pushes everything out, but it's a gentle start. I'm going to hammer this here. I'm going to come back in. Now, if you'll notice, this is a good example. See how it's kind of off?
Right.
So what you can do is you can actually pull one way or the other to pull more metal where you need it.
Oh, okay, so you can kind of even it out.
You can even it out, or you can actually create...
Well, let's see it right now so that we can really... So you have it a little bit wider on this side and a little bit narrower.
Sometimes I want that. Sometimes I actually want to have, like in this piece here, as you can see, I actually like that idea because it creates a really interesting look.
Yeah, it's a design choice, right?
It's a total design choice. So anyway, you've got your piece that's bubbled out. So I'm going to talk about different ways now that you can kind of play with this and create a bezel and also just a window.
Okay.
So let me get this here. So the first thing is when you're doing these can end up on the top of a piece, they can end up peeking through the back, and this is a really good example. So on this one here, if you open this up, you can see there's like a lot of layers. So the first layer was where I just cut a hole and I bezeled this little piece of clay that I had stuck through through a screen. So that's the bezel there. But actually what's kind of fun is it is an illusion that this is actually the bezel. And you can use this, what I just created, underneath
under the circle.
A circle that I just cut.
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to play with the sizes. You can also have a layer that is bezeled out and then bezel another one on top, kind of creating a double look, which is really fun.
That looks good too, yeah.
You can also even come in from underneath. Let me go under here. If you just want the silver to come out. And depending on the size of your hole is going to really depend on all the different looks you can get.
And you can make a little frame in there.
You can make little frames. Now, the one really nice thing about this one is when you've got, a flat piece like this, and this would be a good example here where I have the copper that's bubbled out. So I've got the copper bubbled out here, but what I did was I pushed it to the outside, actually bezeling the piece of metal.
Oh, okay.
So it's not about holding something in, it's about grabbing something on the outside. You can even come in and cut and do like little tabs, and part can go out and part can go in, which is really fun.
That is. It adds a lot of design texture there.
It is, and this actually is totally viable as a bezel to hold that metal on there, so that's real nice. You notice I had these earlier. These are great fun to come in with the dapping block. come in like this.
So you're taking the circle that you cut out.
I'm taking the circle that I cut out. Then I end up with a little domed piece. And just to show you what you can do with a domed piece, here's a little domed piece here. You use a back piece. You can drop this in, just cut your hole, corresponding hole, and then attach these two together, and that's, again, it's going to stay put, which is really nice.
I love the idea of bringing the different metallic tones in there too, and they have different textures.
You can.
It looks great
This
together.
is a great way to also bezel cabochons, rocks, anything that has a little bit of dimension and you can't maybe drill into it, or you're having trouble with prongs. This is just a great, easy metal way to do it. Yeah, it's really, really simple. So there's a lot of different ways. The other thing that I was going to show you too is when you go to connecting these, you can connect these with both eyelets or you can use rivets. Do you want to see a rivet or an eyelet, I mean? You want to see an eyelet?
Sure.
Okay, so on an eyelet, what you're going to do is you're going to actually poke your holes in the front first. And I'll just do one, but you want to use this as your pattern. And this is actually going to then connect to the back side, okay? But this is your pattern. This is your pattern. So you don't ever want to try to cut through two thicknesses.
Okay.
So you want to have all your holes in the front done. Then you want to come in and do this.
So use it as your template.
Use it as your template. Then you have, I just use just a bench block here. And then you can take your eyelets and insert them. You can also make a little tool with 20 gauge wire.
Yeah, we did that last week.
We did that last week, where you
Okay.
hammer the end. It just depends on how good my eyes are at the day. This goes through like this. You bring it around to the back, slide it onto your bench block, and then you're going to use your ball peen hammer and basically just flare it out. You want to do this very gently.
Yeah, so that's the way you can layer your elements together
Right.
really easily. That
Really
looks good,
easily.
too.
And it's a great way. It's a great way to...
Well, let's talk about the square too, because this is a different look.
Yeah, it's a great look. And this creates a bezel that has like 4 triangles. So there's a couple ways you can do it. You can actually, if you need it to be exactly in one place, you can actually take a hole, insert a wire, take it all the way down so you know exactly where you're at, or you can just go for it. And what this is going to do, it's going to create 4 prongs that can also be a bezel. So again, if you have a little piece like this that you're wanting to bezel, I mean, obviously I'd make it bigger, but you can use that as your...
Right, so then you can even peel the layers back.
You can peel them back, you can curl them. Usually when I curl them back, I'll use like a needle nose pair of pliers, and I'll just kind of bend them to the back side. They make a nice rolled look too.
That looks great, so you can really customize it to whatever you're trying to
whatever you want to do,
inside.
and layer them. Layering is really nice.
Okay, these are some great tips. Thank you so much, Mary.